what systems do you have in place to make sure your closers and setters avoid going into ruts?
After 6 months to a year of you running your company, the sales process is dialed in. Like people know how to close, you know what objections, like it's on. You close over 200 people, you've seen it all, right? So then it becomes, how do you handle the people? How do you make sure your closers are fine, their health, their mental health, their conviction? And we just usually ends up either being their health, they either don't sleep or don't eat good food. The next thing would be they don't have conviction in the product anymore because they deal with a lot of cold traffic that comes on. Is like, is that a scam? And if you have that 10 times a day, you start believing it's a scam. So we feed you specific testimonials. Like the guy you closed will send you a video that says, Assalamu alaikum Kenyan, I wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for closing me on that call. I did not want to buy it, but you convinced me and you were right. And now you changed my life. That's a video you receive. I'm closing into the next 20 guys from that. That's another one. And then lastly, it's goal setting and helping them hold themselves accountable to the goals. So, okay, you want to make 10K a month. Why? Because of this, this, and that. Okay, what else do you want to achieve? This, and that. And then it's holding them accountable to it. Hey, you said you want to make 10K a month. With the end of the first week, if you want to make 10K a month, that's 2.5K a week. You made $1,000 this week. What are you on about? You mentioned, and then insert my family, my this, my that. And that's how we have them hold accountable.
Real quick, if you're Muslim and you want to learn how to make money online or start a halal business, but you're tired of the confusion online. So many gurus talk about so many business models and you overall feel confused. Well, I got you. This Sunday, 7 p.m. UK time, I'm going to show you how I'm using one halal business that's been proven to work to make over 20K a month with a halal business. And also the same business model that over 1,000 Muslims are using to start their own business. I'll give you all my secrets for free this Sunday, 7 p.m. UK time. To register, click the link below, fill out your details, and I'll send you an invitation, inshallah. With that being said, let's get back to the video.
EOWs, EOMs?
Yeah. I would love EOEs actually. NOE is usually a call. It's maybe a one-on-one. EOD, they have to fill it out every day. What went wrong, what went well. It's public as well. The numbers are there, so they get hyped up or they get shamed.
Just business EOD, or do you make them do a personal EOD as well?
What do you mean?
So I made all of our closers like track all of the metrics within a personal life that ends up affecting how they close.
Like how much they sleep.
Yeah, so they have to. So there's like, the big thing is like hydration, movement, sleep, friendships, and diet.
Yeah.
So these 5 things you can usually track, like when a closer has one of them go wrong.
We do like sleep, food, family, and conviction. Like those 5. Like what have you done to impact or positively or negatively on those 5? That's smart.
I just have them just rate them. They do on a scale of 1 to 10. Like where do you feel like you were today?
Yeah, that's smart. I make a note. That's actually smart.
Well, I can see to it. I got from Cole Gordon. Yeah, I don't know why I decided. A lot of his, the Hermosi thing. Yeah, I love a lot of his internal closer stuff.
Yeah.
That's where I replicated most of our stuff from. Yeah, I noticed EOD is like I have taken that to applying it to non-sales employees as well. Because it's just a really good way to track the health and well-being of your employees.
Yeah. For managers, you know what I said, Ali?
For what?
For managers,
What you got?
stress levels. Like we go to a manager, he'd have KPIs. His income is tied to his KPIs. And we would ask them, what's your stress level? And they'll be honest. And if they say, my stress level is a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 this week, we'd find a way to stress them out. Sounds crazy. But yeah, but it works.
Too little.
Huh?
Too little stress.
Yes, too little stress. So I would have a message, for example. That would be for a team lead for sellers, for example, right? He manages like 15 sellers. And his KPI is based on how many calls we book, right? And of the week, we'd ask him, how's your stress level? He was like 6 out of 10. I have KPIs I want to hit, but I don't want to go crazy, etc. But I'm okay. I see that. I'm going to send him a voice the next day, be like, yeah, Assalamu alaikum, team lead. I've been looking at your projections. It seems like this month you're going to make 1,000 USD. That's a pretty skinny invoice. Seems like rent is a bit expensive in London. So, yeah, it seems like it's not going to be the best month for you. Yeah. May I make it easy? Just leave him like that.
Artificially, yeah.
And then the guy's like, wow, I didn't see that. Yeah, it's right. What's happening? And then the next day, the CEO would ask him, it's like, stress level 10 out of 10, etc. But then you look at the performance the next day, all the sellers are hitting KPI. Everybody's crushing the numbers. And then he comes back to you, and now they know I'm creating that, but they thank me for it. The managers are like, I know you're stressing me out. I want to eat my head. I want to eat my computer. I want to crash out. But I know it's good for me, so thank you. It's actually beneficial.
That's fascinating. Definitely only works with high performer males.
Oh,
but
yeah.
yeah, I see that.
This is burnout 101.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
It only works with sales guys. The opposite though works with my coaches and my either coaches or creative people. Creative are the most emotional. Closers are the most like hardcore at work. I would say coaches are in the middle. Creatives, it's more just how you're feeling. They make sure you're good. They make sure you're happy. You know what? We worked a lot today. Let's just take a day off. Let's just relax. I mean, these guys know. We'll just be like, let's just chill. We don't chill as much when we're here, but you get the point. Do you agree, Shams? Do you agree, Mithan? It's how you deal with it. And then coaches are in the middle. You have to stress them out because they're competitive and they want to be the best coaches. But they also have a like nice side, personal side. They have to be able to take care of the family. You have to make sure you're not too nice with the closers and they make a ton of bonuses and the coaches are left over. Like it's an interesting dynamic.
What's the incentive structure for coaches that you use?
It's called RGAs, Revenue Generating Activities. And it's anything that can help us generate revenue from what the coaches would do. That's collecting reviews on Trustpilot. That's getting the wins posted on school. That's getting a testimonial from a student, like a video that we can later turn into an ad or nurturing assets. That could be an interview that's booked out between me and the student, like incentivizing them to do that. And then those are RGS, it's like $50 for every review, $100 for this, that. If you stack them up, that's like an extra $1,000 to $3,000 a month you'd make sometimes, just from RGS. And I can use that for marketing, and it helps the guy feel more incentivized to do a good job. They're like, this client is long and it's boring, but I can get video, make an extra $100. Let me answer his message, right? It incentivizes better behavior. Another one is upsells, just like generating revenue. So if you get a renewal on coaching, you get a commission. If you get an upsell on our higher ticket offer, regardless if you set or close him yourself, you get a commission because you coached him. And he ended up getting good results because of you, and I upsold him because of the money he made because of your coaching, so I give you a comp.